Hello, I'm Chris, welcome back to FRAG-MENTAL. Thank you for joining me. I love doing autumn designer fragrance videos, but you know what I love even more? Autumn niche fragrance videos, because most of the time they're stronger, longer lasting and more impactful. Sometimes they just smell higher quality and more natural. I don't know about you, but that's exactly what I'm looking for in an autumn fragrance. Stay tuned for 10 of the best. These 10 fragrances are some of my favourite attention-grabbing scents that blow most designer fragrances out of the water. If you want to make an impact, here are my recommendations for autumn. Auto Parisi are a very creative and impactful brand. One of my favourites is Stercus, and despite the name, it doesn't smell of poo. This is a sweet, musky scent with deep, robust notes of tobacco and leather, perfect for autumn. Stercus is loud and impactful, but never in an obnoxious way. The brand don't release notes for their fragrances, so it's up to us to sort of decipher and decide what might be in there. I do get a little bit of a sweet, animalic, musky smell, but I also get this sweet, treacle toffee smell, like a dark toffee, which is perfect for this time of year. It's a very unique, creative, surprisingly wearable scent for a fragrance that is called poo. Perfect for bonfire night, a cool autumn day, maybe even an autumn formal occasion. In a recent video, my kids smelled this. I thought that they might be slightly repulsed, but they loved it. It was their favorite in the video. They said they thought this would be perfect for wearing in a nightclub, so there's that too. I guess the animalic musks have a sort of interesting carnal smell to it that probably would work in a nightclub. If you want to grab attention for all the right reasons, shovel some Stercus on. Moving on from poo to booze. Nasomatto is Alessandro Gutierre's other brand. Nasomatto is one of my favourite niche brands and one of my favourites from the house. Perfect for autumn is Baraonda. There's whiskey, woods, florals and musks, but Baraonda, for me, is all about the booze. I've always described Baraonda as the olfactory equivalent of drinking a fine Scotch whiskey that tastes sensational. As you drink it, you have that warming sensation as it flows down your throat and into your stomach. It doesn't make you smell like you've had a hard session on the whiskey the night before. The artistry with this fragrance is translating the feeling and the taste of drinking whiskey into a smell. And if I was to compare it to a Scotch whiskey, it would be very smooth and mellow, maybe a little bit creamy, like a whiskey from the Speyside region rather than a harsher, peaty whiskey. This definitely is very wearable, very easy on the nose, and boozy fragrances just work so well in the autumn. For me, a cool autumn day is the perfect time to drink a whiskey, so it's also the perfect time to smell of whiskey. One of my favourite boozy fragrances, along with Roja Parfums Enigma. It's smooth, it's sensual, very warming and very enticing. Even has a cork for the lid. Alright, this is one of the best tobacco fragrances ever created. From Parfum de Marly, it's Herod. Cinnamon, tobacco, incense and vanilla make this such an addictive and wearable scent. Okay, I know Herod has been in loads of my videos, and not just my videos, it's appeared in pretty much everyone's autumn niche video, and the reason for that is it's such a good fragrance. I could not put an autumn niche video together and not include Herod, so sorry if that's boring and you've seen it 100 times before, but I like it, so it's here. I was wearing this recently because it's now October, so I'm in full autumn vibes. I'm lining up all my Halloween movies, and that is the time for me to start pulling out Herod. And I got something from this that I've never got before, and that is a little bit of a smell that reminds me of coconut macaroons. I don't know what it is in there. I've never really picked up on that before, but I guess as we smell more and more fragrances and maybe our noses mature a little bit, we can pick up different facets, different accords in scents. That is one of the great joys of loving fragrance, is that sometimes we can discover something new in a fragrance that we've known and loved for years. Maybe like watching one of your favourite films, you might be watching it for the 50th time and suddenly just pick out something in the back of that scene that you'd never noticed before, and it just enriches the experience and keeps it alive for you. The tobacco is sweet, Osmanthus brings something a little fruity, throw in a little bit of creamy vanilla and chef's kiss. It's sexy, it's cozy, it's rich, and highly likely to be really enjoyed by anyone you come into contact with whilst wearing this. King Herod from the Bible is famous for killing babies. The only thing this Herod is killing is the ladies. Amouage are known for their impactful statement scents, and this one knows no bounds. Boundless. And yes, it does match my shirt. This is a warm, spicy tobacco scent, also with notes of myrrh, incense, and vanilla. What a note breakdown. It's actually not one of Amouage's strongest fragrances. You've got to go to the library and look up Royal Tobacco and King Blue if you want something beast mode. This isn't one of Amouage's strongest fragrances, but despite that, it still makes an impact. A fragrance doesn't have to be beast mode to make a positive impact. Very smooth, very refined, and incredibly wearable. Very accessible for people who maybe aren't used to niche, actually. Amouage are good at that. They will create some very complex niche head fragrances, but also they've got fragrances like this one, like Reflection Man, that are very accessible for people who are maybe tentatively dipping a toe into niche fragrances. I get a beautiful, slightly woody, pencil shaving smell to this that blends really well with sweet spices, vanilla and tobacco. Absolutely gorgeous, very well-rounded scent. If you want to make a statement without going nuclear, then Boundless is one of the easiest to wear fragrances Amouage have ever produced. Next up is an absolute autumn powerhouse from Roja Parfums. It's Fetish. Leather, musks, sweet, warming spices, and a whole lot of naughtiness. Man, this is a sweet, sexy, naughty smelling fragrance. It's a little bit pissy, it's a little bit musky. Maybe it's the leather, I don't know, but lordy, this is a head turner. It's a very strong, room filling scent, but at the same time, still very wearable, not obnoxious in the slightest. It makes me think of a very assertive, confident person, someone who wants to command attention, someone who wants to be noticed by their scent when they walk into a room. Even though it has all this attitude, this robust nature to it, at the same time, it manages to be quite refined and elegant. So you've got the robust attitude, you've got some refinement and sophistication, but you've also got that little bit of fun and naughtiness. This would be a great statement piece to wear on a night out, and I think actually my next autumn night out fragrance, I'm going Fetish. The dictionary describes a fetish as a form of sexual desire in which gratification is strongly linked to an object or activity. Well, indulge in some fetish, you could be that object. Awaken your inner Adonis with Adonis Awakens from Argos Fragrances. Look at that bottle. Does it belong in your bathroom cabinet or on display in a museum? Well, neither, because it's a fragrance, so it shouldn't be in a museum, and you should never keep your fragrances in your bathroom cabinet. That's the answer. This is super strong, but without being abrasive. It's all the smoothness. It's like swimming in a pool of liquid sandalwood. We've all dreamt about that. It's also got fruits and florals, has a little bit of freshness to it, but all these elements seem to seamlessly blend into one another, other than the sandalwood, which I do feel dominates in the best possible way. And this smells like proper stuff. This smells like proper natural Mysore sandalwood, which brings an indulgent, creamy woodiness. Very enticing and sensual for a man or a woman. That little bit of freshness just helps it to jump off the skin and project into the air. So I dare say that this is highly likely to elicit a few compliments. Big smell, big, heavy bottle. If you love big, beautiful smells and you're bored of your own farts, this is very big and very clever. If you love fragrance as much as I do, head over to my online store, luxparfum.co.uk. You'll find my favourite brands, plus brands you can't find anywhere else in the UK. Link is in the description. Less big, but just as clever, is Montabaco Verano from Ormonde, Jayne. Grapefruit, tobacco, cashmere, suede, leather and woods. If you're not familiar with Ormonde, Jayne, this might not smell quite like you think it might. And by that I mean, if another brand, say Parfum de Marly, made a fragrance with those same notes, you would expect it to smell very rich, very deep and very full-bodied. This does not, because that's not the Ormonde Jayne way. Of the ones I've smelled anyway, I describe them as very light, fresh, quite clean, elegant fragrances, and I would not really describe them as full-bodied. It's the sort of perfumery that is more about precision, elegance and sophistication. And even though Montabaco Verano has some quite heavy sounding robust notes in there, it is so refined and a little bit more on the subtle side. Don't forget, subtlety can also make an impact of a different kind to a big, strong, bold fragrance, but nevertheless, it can still make its own impact. I do actually pick out though on all the individual notes in here, but I feel like it's done with the lightest of touches. Not all autumn days are cold, some are very warm and mild, and this would be perfect for those sort of days. It would also be perfect as a fragrance that you might want to wear casually throughout the day, or maybe a work fragrance, something where you perhaps want a little more of that subtlety. I still do think it projects pretty well though. I'm saying subtle and refined, but it does have decent projection and longevity. So if you're looking for a really beautifully, masterfully created, precise, fresher fragrance for autumn, Montabaco Verano is a real winner. Vanilla dominant fragrances never fail in the fall, and this one is no exception. From Affinessence, this is Vanille Benzoin. As well as vanilla and benzoin, there's also tonka bean and cedar providing some depth. Quite a lightly done vanilla. There are actually two types of vanilla used here, but it's not too dense, not too creamy or sickly or cloying. Definitely has an elegance to it. The benzoin in this is actually Siamese benzoin, which apparently brings an almond accord, and that absolutely tracks for me. I definitely get something almondy from it because it makes me think of a luxury French patisserie. All the baked goods and desserts lined up. You know, you walk into one of those places and you just get that lovely bakery smell. That's kind of it, really. It's a very pleasing, comforting patisserie type of smell, very uncomplicated. As much as I think this would work really well in the autumn, it would also work all year round. It's got that sort of versatility. I don't think the vanilla in here would become too cloying in warmer times of the year. If you like a bit of a comforting yet alluring bakery vibe, Vanille Benzoin from Affinessence could be the autumn fragrance for you. If you like them fruity, you will probably love Astrakhan from Alexander Perfumes. This is a very strong fragrance featuring orange, cinnamon, black orchid, vanilla, and apple. The brand say this is a fragrance inspired by spiced apple wine, and that definitely makes sense to me because I think apple is the dominant fruity note in the fragrance. This is a big, bold, full-bodied fruity scent, but very well-rounded and robust at the same time. Smells pretty unique to me, doesn't remind me of anything else I have. This has lots of projection and longevity. This is practically beast mode. My brother-in-law, Mas, smelled this and I didn't expect the reaction I got, but he was pretty blown away. I'd say it blew his mind. Of all the things that he smelled here the day he visited, and he smelled quite a few, you know, pretty big and very good fragrances, this was the one that he gave the most positive reaction to. Alexander is a pretty new Swedish fragrance brand. I believe that Astrakhan is a brand new release for this year. Here in the UK, it's available at Bloom Perfumery, and as we know, Bloom don't just let any fragrances in. I think they're very selective, so pop into Bloom, give it a sniff, or you could even order a sample off their website, maybe give something new a try. I'm finishing the video with a brand new Aaron Terrence Hughes release. This is my favourite of his newest releases, Oud Noir. Cinnamon, saffron, oud, amaretto, plum, and vanilla. One of the reasons I love this fragrance so much is I love a plum oud combo. Things like Plum Japonais from Tom Ford, which is unfortunately now discontinued. They're just two notes that seem to work really well, especially the sort of oud Aaron uses. It always smells to me like this really high quality, well-rounded, fruity oud. It doesn't really smell animalic in any way. If you liked Plum Japonais, I think you'll probably really enjoy this. It's not exactly the same. This is not intended to be a copy, nor does it smell like a copy or a clone. This is Aaron doing his own thing, but put plum and oud together in a fragrance and there are going to be similarities with other fragrances that have plum and oud in there. This one has a very smoothly blended fruity woody profile. There's just something about dark fruits like plum that seem to work so well in the autumn. It's fruity, but it's a little bit darker. Autumn is a little bit cooler, so I think it works really well, especially combined with the oud that Aaron uses. Really excellent head turning creation. One of my favorites from Aaron. If you're into plums, definitely try this one. There you go, some of my favourite impactful autumn niche fragrances. Shameless plug coming up, some of these fragrances are available on my website, Luxe Parfum. We've got Affinessence, Auto Parisi, Nasomatto, Argos fragrances. We are the only UK stockist to carry Argos, so if any of the fragrances I've talked about interest you, I will leave a link to Luxe Parfum in the description. What do you think about my choices? Have you tried them? What would be your favourite autumn niche fragrances that make an impact, that are just perfect for this time of year? Drop those in the comments. I would love to hear from you. I hope you found this video useful. I hope you liked it. If you did, you know what to do. Hit like, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you do all that, I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.